Welcome to another episode of Shift Podcast, where we talk about getting out of your comfort zone and really just ultimately overcoming your own BS to reach the potential that you can actually reach. My name is Elena Gergimova. I'm your host. I'm super excited to have with me Eddie Mercado. Eddie is, aside from being a friend, a long time friend, he's also a fight liker, thought leader, life lover. He's a staff writer and content creator for Bloody Elbow. He's a voice and videographer for Spartyka and so many other things that I completely admire about you. So you are a definition of a person who just continuously stays curious. And having known you for how many years now?
Don't you do that to us. You're going to date us. We can't let them know how old we are. You got to stay hip and young.
Speak for yourself. Still trendy.
Hashtag.
So yeah, it's been a decade probably we've known each other. So, and I've seen you go through changes. You've seen me go through changes for sure. Mm-hmm. So I think this conversation, we'll just keep it informal because I think between the two of us, we can have quite a nice chat about change and getting out of a comfort zone. And I know you have a few stories to share, and I'm going to let you go with it. And if you don't share what I'm thinking, I'm going to ask you about it. So, because I know your life story.
If you want to prompt me, go for it, and I'll just go from there. But yeah, I'm glad we are familiar with each other. For one, we can't BS one another. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a nice comfort level there, but I'm an open book. I feel like,
yes, you are.
I've gone through some dark times and I overcame those. And
let's talk about that. Like, that's what I want to, like, let's dig into that. Like, let's dig into, choose one. What do you want to, out of all the changes that you've been through?
Man, I think the number one change is going from, I would say, a consumer mentality to a producer mentality. So somewhere along the lines, I don't know how I heard it, where I heard it, could have been a meme. I don't know. But it's this, whatever it was, it said, successful people produce more than they consume. And I was like, what? It blew my mind. And I really just thought about it. And I was like, how am I spending my time? Am I spending my time producing things, or am I spending my time consuming whatever's around me? Whether it be not necessarily just buying things, but what you watch on TV, how you spend your time. What are you doing? Are you bringing stuff in, or are you putting stuff out there? And I really had to take a hard look at myself and answer some really tough questions. And from there, decide, well, who do I want to be? Do I want to be a successful person? Or do I want to be, just an ordinary person who kind of just goes through the motions and lets life happen to them? It's a choice. You have to make a conscious choice, mm-hmm. And once you can't pretend you don't. It's like there's no going back.
The Pandora's box is open.
Yeah. So from there, you have to do a lot of self-discovery and a lot of, you have to love to learn, and you have to love to learn. You have to know how to learn. So for me, I'm someone who's always on YouTube. I'm quick to go to Google. I always have to find it. I don't know. It's a way for me to consume while also being productive with it. So it's like a little life hack for me, because humans have to consume. We have to bring stuff in. It's just us, right? That's where we get our inspiration from. So I really started focusing on the stuff I did consume, like TV. I don't do TV anymore. I don't do Netflix. I don't do Disney Plus or any of that. I watch UFC fights. That's my job. They pay me to do it. So yes, I will watch that, and I have to sit through commercials. I hate commercials, by the way. Marketing ruins everything. That's another reason I don't like TV. But I stopped doing things that weren't elevating me and weren't making me better. And when you put an emphasis on being better, I mean, just your world changes, and it's slow at first. It's incremental. This, you've gone through changes yourself, and it's never ending also. So it's not like you're trying to get to one specific point and that's it. It's almost like, the old cliche, the more you know, the more you don't know.
Yeah, basically.
So I just really, put an emphasis on being a producer. And I really Seth Godin, I think I have to credit with this. The great Seth Godin. Check him out. Purple Cow is one of the best books I've ever read. And he made me realize that I'm an artist. Even though I can't paint or draw well, I still have an art to me. Me who I am. Eddie Mercado, there is not another one of me out there. Being me is my art form. And whatever I create, that is my art. Whatever I create to give to other people, that is my art. And what I learned is that's what fulfills me, and that's what I love to do. And I think that will ring true for almost everybody, but it's just a matter of A, realizing you're an artist, and B, taking the time to discover things and find out, what you like to do and what your art is and what you can give to the world. Like, what can you share? And trying new things is scary and it's uncomfortable. Humans, what do we fear? We fear change. We fear the unknown, right?
For sure.
And the opposite of that is comfort.
Yeah. So, but listen, let me pause you here. So, like, I wonder, what does it take really? Because I mean, if you look back at like some of the crowds that, you and I used to hang out with, right? Like, it's not easy to get out of that. Like, it's not easy to get out of that sort of negative crowd, that sort of, people that tend to bring you down, etc. Then again, you attract those kind of people. So I think like what both of us kind of realize is like, okay, like if this is the kind of crowd that's around me, like, what am I doing to attract it? Like, that was one for me. I was like, wait a minute, what is happening here? So, and it's like, like once the Pandora's box is sort of open, it's very difficult to go back. But then for many people, it's so hard to get out of that zone. Like, so what was it? Was it like a moment for you? I know I had my moment when I was like, oh, this is not the room I belong in. I gotta go. Like, this is not going to be my life. But for you, like, was there a moment and like back in those days?
There definitely was a moment. And it was a spiritual moment, actually. And I was I had just broken up with my girlfriend at the time. And I was living on my buddy's couch and, going out all the time, just partying, just living for the moment, not really any direction, no real values or morals or convictions, I'll say, just young and dumb. And life is just so hard and wrong. And I'm laying on my buddy's floor, looking up through the skylight. And I just have a conversation with my maker. And I'm like, why is life so wrong? And it dawned on me. I was like, I'm living wrong. Like, I know I'm living wrong. I know the things you shouldn't be doing. And I'm just choosing to do the wrong things. And then from there, it's like, well, why do I feel this way? Like, because at the time I didn't even believe in God. So I'm like, I don't even know what this conversation is or where it's coming from or why it's even happening, but it is. Right. And that sparked its own curiosity and me loving to learn. I'm like, oh no, there's something I don't understand here. I'm going to start digging. So, that evolved into a spiritual journey. And I believe it's mind, body, and soul. I think being spiritually dead is a sad thing. And I encourage, whatever your belief is, just go on a journey. If it ain't for you, it's not for you, whatever. But I encourage everyone to revisit or visit as an adult. Me, I was raised Catholic. I'm not Catholic anymore, but being raised in it and force fed it, it really made me rebel against it and resist it. So I really had to revisit spirituality with an adult mind through, an adult lens. And I was much more receptive to it. So that was definitely the big change, or like the one defining moment that kind of altered my course into regaining control of my life and kind of, I guess stepping into my destiny.
And I mean, I've seen that change in you, and it's been really amazing to be alongside on this journey for sure. And one of the most sort of exciting things for me was to watch you do something that you've been covering for years and years. So you've been into UFC for as long as I can remember, in MMA. I mean, you like, that is what I remember about you. Like, I always associated you with like fighting, like you're the guy, you know what I mean? Like covering these things. So I've always admired your sort of passion for the sport. and then you got a chance to do that yourself. How, and I know that was a transforming experience for you. How was that for you, like being able to professionally fight?
Yeah, that was huge. So I cover the sport, UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship. I'm doing results posts and highlights posts and various articles and podcasts and fighter interviews and just whatever in the realm of MMA. And, training has always been a part of my life also. I enjoy martial arts. And, they say if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're going to want a haircut. And that's kind of what happened with me. I just, I see my teammates are all training, getting ready for fights, and I'm back in it. And I kind of had this realization, I'm 35 now. I was 34 when my fight happened or my last fight happened. And I just was like, you know what? I'm not getting any younger here. So if I'm ever going to do this, if I'm ever going to actually get in there and compete and actually take part in the sport I cover, it has to be now, because I'm physically able. It's now or never. I don't ever want to be 84 years old looking back saying, oh, I wonder what it would have happened if I would have done that, or what it would have been like, and spent this entire lifetime with the what ifs and not having the perspective I have now about the sport I cover. And it's just, it really, obviously it took getting over a fear. Like a fist fight is scary in and of itself. When you add in the bright lights and it's in a cage and the other guy is trained to do this and has more experience than you, and your friends
just coming to beat you. Like that's his aim, supposed to fight you.
Like that's what he's getting paid to do. He's getting paid to beat you up.
Yeah.
And like your mom's there, your family's there, your friends are there. People are watching on pay-per-view. It's there's a lot at stake, and the fear of going out there and getting embarrassed is real, but the fear of, letting down your coaches and your family and your teammates and everyone supporting you, sponsors too, was a much bigger fear, was my biggest fear. But I mean, what is fear anyways, right? It's not real. It's not even a tangible thing. It's thoughts of the unknown, and whatever it is, you're going to go through it anyways. So why go through it multiple times? Just deal with it when it comes, and not let fear consume you. And doubts, everyone has doubts. And I had to learn to, whenever a negative doubt came up, you have to dead it immediately and
like
shift
how do you do that? Because I feel like a lot of that what you're talking about happens to people. It's just fear, So is there like a trick? Was it just like awareness of it and saying like, no, this is not going to happen, like let me just change my thought process? Like what helped you in that case?
All right, so this is a two-part. First part is pre-commitment, second part is post-commitment. So pre-commitment, you have to weigh all the options, right? Like I'm someone who I aggressively attack my bucket list, and I just try to soak up as much life as I can. And I don't know. I don't feel like people don't even know they can do that. It's like they're almost programmed to not understand that they can poke the world, and like the world will poke back. It's like the world is way more interactive than we were led to believe. And I don't even know what the original question was or where we were going with this.
Was there, like, what I asked is like, was there a something that you do or say to yourself when it comes to
the doubts,
getting the doubts? Yeah.
That so fear. Once you have to make the commitment, right? So you make the commitment, and once you're in, you can't be half pregnant with it, especially with that, because you're putting your life on the line.
Right.
Like it's a sport, but make no mistake about it. It's a fist fight and things happen. Right. So you have to be at peace with that. Right. And once you make this commitment, all those fears, everything else, you have to push it to the side. So once you make that commitment, your post commitment, and those doubts, those fears, the second they pop up into your mind, you have to say no, change your thinking, think about anything else before it has a chance to become a feeling. Once it becomes a feeling, that's a tough one to get out. Being in your feels is hard.
That's a good
You can
one.
control your thoughts way easier than you can control your feelings, but you got to get them.
Emotion kicks in.
Yeah.
Right?
So for me, it was deading them. The second, the negative, well, what if, well, maybe I can't, well, no, what if, nope, not doing that. It's positive reinforcement, positive thoughts. You have to take control of your own mind. You know, if you're a slave to your own mind, you know, how are you going to express yourself to the world in the way you want? You know, it starts in the mind. Mindset is everything. Massive supplements. Check them out. They were one of my sponsors for the fight. But Mitch Aguiar, teammate, he was a Navy SEAL. That's his company, and he practices mindset is everything. I have it taped to my monitor as we speak.
Nice.
Because that's number one. It's a mindset. So developing that rock solid mindset to not let those thoughts have power and stop them, fight them. The second they show up, you got to start boxing. You got to start, you know, bobbing and weaving, slipping them, not having it. And because not only are you going to get it from your own mind, but then you're going to get it from everywhere else too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
The second you start doing anything, people are going to try to hate on you and this, that, and tell you, no, don't do that. You can't do this.
Yeah, speaking their fears. Yeah, well, that's speaking their own perspectives into you. Yeah. So actually, let me ask you a follow-up on that. So a big part of having that mindset and, you know, just, I don't know, making change happen is, and this is what I'm really big on, is having the right circle, the right environment. So how do you get out of bad circles, bad environment? Like when you're just, you know, you don't have a good circle yet, and you don't, at the same time, you don't want to be in a bad one. Like what happens? What happened for you?
You have to learn to say no. No has to be your default. I used to be someone who would always say yes. It would be my default. Whether I could or couldn't, I would say yes and then find a way to make it yes. And it would stress myself out. And I was always a slave to everyone else's, what they wanted. And I didn't put myself first. So I made it a habit to say no. So if a maybe wasn't good enough, you get a no, right? If you're pressuring me for an answer, it's going to be a no. If you want to give me some time to think, I'll determine if my schedule can allow for it, and we'll go from there. So you have to say no a bunch, and you have to be comfortable being alone. If you're not comfortable being alone, you're in bad company. And that goes all the way back to the self-discovery and trying to better yourself. And you got to be comfortable being alone. If you're someone who feels like you always need other people around you, maybe look into that and ask yourself why, and explore that and learn about yourself. And that might be painful. But on the other side of pain usually is strength. So it's a lot of this is taking a hard look at yourself, a lot of tears, you know, a lot of, it's hard. But like anything else that's worth anything, if you keep at it, you stay consistent, right? And you believe, have just a little bit of faith, eventually you'll develop this rear view mirror, and you'll be like, wait a minute, I used to be there. And then here's the regular mirror, and you see your face and you don't even recognize the person back there. And you're like, oh man, I wish I could fight that person back there. If I could fight anyone in history, it would be any previous version of myself. He needs his ass kicked. I would love to fight all of them.
With you, I can definitely relate. Yeah. No, it's the hardest part, I think. Yeah, it is definitely the hardest part. Is just overcoming your own bullshit, basically. Excuse my language, but just overcoming your own BS, and that's the hard part. And like personally for me, I mean, and you know this about me, like I had points where I didn't want to be alone because I genuinely did not enjoy my own company. You know, like there were moments where, you know, although like I did spend some time alone, but it wasn't on purpose. Now I do it on purpose because I enjoy my company so much, but it took years to like yourself. And that's the hard part. So it's
hard.
Yeah.
And but that's real though, you know, becoming someone you actually like. Right. Because once you do that, then your relationships become more genuine with other people.
For sure. Everything improves around you. Yeah. It all starts with you. Yeah.
You have to. It's like the whole the airplane mask. You got to put your mask on first before you can help anyone else, or you're going to pass out and help nobody. So get yourself right. And then, you can start helping the world,
Yeah. No, totally agree. What do you think has been like the hardest part of all this, like all the different changes that you've gone through? Like, you've mentioned a few different things. If you had to choose like one thing that was like, that was painful.
Painful. That's a tough question. I don't know.
Was it the facing your own BS? Was it the overcoming the fear? Like, what was it for you?
I think the most painful thing is coming to terms with it's okay if you're alone. I think that might have been the most painful thing, because it takes a lot of heartbreak to get there. And I don't just mean like a significant other, like family, friends, just life. So
that's good. Yeah.
learning that it's okay to be alone, and just being, I would say, the transition into just becoming your true self. It's an awkward, weird, painful transition. But once you become your true self, I mean, it's what we're put here to do, to, like, Dr. Seuss said it, there's no one more youer than you, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing before they cancel him or whatever. But yeah.
Let me ask you, somebody asked me this. I was on a podcast and somebody asked me this and it threw me off, and they're like, what is it that one thing that people don't really know about you? Not that many people know me, but like, with my writing and all these other things, I tend to speak about different experiences. And so I'm quite open, but it kind of put me at a stop sign for me. I was like, what is that one thing that people don't normally know about me? So what is that one thing that people don't normally know about you? Now you're laughing because there's a lot of things you know about me. I know you.
Well, I mean, the truth for you, about me that probably very few people.
What can you share publicly? Let's put it that
way.
Take your time. It took me a minute to think about that one. I was like, because I'm pretty much an open book. But then I realized that there were a couple of things that people don't know about me. I have such a good one
and a good reason, and I can't even share it because it has to stay. I don't know. That's a good question.
It's okay if you don't have any.
I feel like I'm an open book. So what you see is what you see is what you get with me. I have a tattoo.
That's
we'll leave it at that.
All right, we will leave it at that. Oh, that's funny.
It's
Eddie,
true.
I know. You produce a lot of content, especially for people that are interested in sort of like the MMA world and these sort of things. Where can people follow you? Where do you post the most?
You can follow me, my YouTube channel, The Eddie Mercado. Basically anywhere, The Eddie Mercado, I'm there. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Those are pretty much the big ones. Am I forgetting anything? And bloodyelbow.com, of course. That's the website I work for. Plenty of content over there. And Bloody Elbow Presents is their YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play or Plus or whatever all the current hip streams are that us kids are on nowadays.
And let me ask you one last thing. If you had a magic wand to make things happen, what would you want to see happen in your life?
See happen in my lifetime.
In your lifetime, whatever.
Easy. Well, you're throwing magic in there. Does it have to be magical?
It's just the one that makes things happen. Let's put it that way.
Oh man. Is world peace too lame to say and cliche?
It's not.
Or you want something? You want something unique?
Else. Yes.
You
Give
want
me
something juicy.
Eddie. Yeah. Give me something
All
Eddie.
right. I think we need to do away with the shipping industry. So I would wave my magic wand and we would get hyperloops under the oceans connecting all the continents. So we can completely do away with the shipping industry. You can just go and just like you pull up to the bank drive-through, right? You put your little wallet in there or whatever. You hit the button. It goes, whoop, the tube goes. Same thing, but under all the oceans. We can think about how more connected we would be. You could be in London in an hour, or Africa in an hour, Australia in 2 hours. There would be everything would be more affordable. We'd be so more connected. That's what I would do. I'd put hyperloops. I know Elon Musk is working on hyperloops, but I don't know if he's working on them to this capacity, but that's what I would do. That's what I would want to see.
Nice. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you more.
I'm still looking forward to the lifetime of friendship coming our way, honestly. If we made it this far, we're going to make it. They say if you've been friends with somebody for 7 years, it's likely you're going to be friends with them forever. We definitely pass that mark.
I interview you now. I feel like you asked me all the questions. I feel like I need to grill you now and put you under the microscope. How often are you getting interviewed? You got people up here asking you the tough questions, huh?
Another day, another time, for sure. No, we'll flip this around because you're a good interviewer. I mean, you do this for a living, so I would love you to interview me anytime. We'll flip this around. Why don't you be a shift host for a day?
I'll do it.
Oh, you should. Oh, that's a great idea.
I'll give you the third degree.
I know you would. You ask the tough questions, and you know me, so this is dangerous.
Oh, I'm gonna dig.
I really can't BS you.
I'm gonna call your mom and be like,
"This is happening." Anyway, I appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on and having this chat with me.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Anytime.